You've delivered urgent document.
John Davies' Agecroft Power Station is such a cool photograph, and since seeing it I've always wanted to go to a power station myself and try taking my own images. However, finding an abandoned power station to explore isn't exactly an easy task. Or is it? Too long, didn't read. I went to an abandoned power station with some friends and took some of the most amazing images I've probably ever taken. A huge thank you goes to my friend Matt for being an amazing model and also having amazing props. That being this really cool chemical suit and a gas mask, but more on that later in the video. Getting to the power station wasn't exactly a difficult task. We took a short car journey to the location where I loaded my first roll of film, that being Tri-X 400. I'd be shooting on my TLR, that being my Yashica 24, absolutely love this thing. Once parked we crossed over a few bridges, which is why I took my first 2 frames. These ones aren't anything crazy, I was just so excited to start shooting I had to fire some off. Once getting onto the proper path to the power station we were greeted with a few different trails. This is a certified Machu banger. I am in love with this image. The sky and lighting is so dramatic and the pylon I absolutely love. I'm just a bit weird like that. I cannot wait to get into the darkroom and print this image because it's going to be so dramatic and I'm going to love it. This is a really cool image as well, but I think the cloud at the top being quite darker than the others really kind of ruins the image, you know, it just kind of bleeds in and I don't know how to describe it, it just kind of ruins the image, but it was almost a really cool image. We started exploring the paths around the cooling tower where the coal station would have been, finding lots of rubble, old train lines and bits of machinery, and also just this massive ominous hole in the ground. We got closer to the cooling towers, which is where this beautiful composition of all the towers lined up came into view. I think this one is my favourite composition of the cooling towers. I did capture a few different ones on the first roll of film, but something about this one is so domineering, the leading lines and the repeating patterns are all just so beautiful. It's an extremely simple image, but that's why it works so well. This image definitely has a much more dramatic sky and glow which I really like, but the position of the tower just isn't as good as the other one. I finished my first roll of Tri-X pretty quickly, so as we headed to the first cooling tower, I decided to set up camp and load up my next roll of, you guessed it, Tri-X 400. 3 of the 6 cooling towers still had these walkways installed underneath them, kind of acting as a support, and you could climb up on top of them and walk across it. I absolutely love the linear forces created by the supports and it creates a really visually interesting image. The support beams created this beautiful frame being front lit by the sky, and I absolutely thought this one was going to be a banger, but it kind of wasn't. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love how the reflection looks, I just thought in my head it looked a lot better. I think this is a really strong composition. You have the cooling tower cutting into half the image and then just a distant field in the background. It really leans into a theme in photography that I really like to capture, that being nature versus man-made structures. And even with the distant pylons in the background of the field, it really shows how man has conquered this land. We moved on to the next tower, which was very similar to the last one, just a bit less overgrown, and it's honestly so surreal being stood next to these monoliths. I don't think the video does it justice, you have to be there to feel it. Something about being dwarfed by this absolutely massive piece of brutalist infrastructure is just so incredible. We moved on to the next tower, which insides were gutted, allowing us to freely walk around under the tower, and looking up was incredible. I attempted a few frames looking out of the cooling tower, but I don't think I really nailed the exposure correctly. They aren't awful, they just don't look amazing in my opinion. I should have been a bit more closer. With 2 frames left in this roll, I thought it was time for me to turn the lens on my friend Matt and take some environmental portraits. Matt collects a lot of vintage clothing, anything between the early 1900s all the way to the Cold War, and with him he brought an old chemical suit and a gas mask. And our plan was to do some eerie photography, something akin to Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl. Do you like film photography? Do you like watching people take photos and ramble about images? Why not support the channel, like and subscribe, it's free! For more inquiries, follow my Instagram at Matthew_C41 or call 0800 9. Thank you for watching. Matt suited up in what I can only call the most fire fit of the century I've ever seen. Like, honestly, he looked so cool in this outfit. The first frame was a bit of a miss though. I had him stand by this bit of rusting metal and I thought it would look really cool, but I don't think the lighting is really doing it justice. I loaded up my next roll of film being, you guessed it, Tri-X 400, and took 2 close-ups of him. This one of him posed leaning in is really nice and feels fluid and realistic. However, I really like the kind of stiff and rugged standing straight pose of this one. It feels uncomfortable and that's the kind of vibe I wanted to go with this image, the gas mask punctuating into the skyline. We moved into the dome of the cooling tower where I fired off these few frames. I really like this faraway frame, especially this one with Matt mid-motion putting a glove on. This frame goes hard, the tower domineering in the background taking up most of the frame and then in focus in front of it, Matt in the gas mask. It is beautiful. I absolutely love it, but I could do better. Career defining. This is the hardest image I have ever taken. Let's run through all the pros here. Square format, black and white film, shot on my TLR. Brilliant things. Really cool gas mask and model. Not 1, not 2, but 3 cooling towers all in a kind of descending motion. Beautiful kind of soft blur on that. Matt wonderfully in focus. Oh, I love this image. It could be like an album cover or something. It goes so unbelievably hard. The model was just punctuated in the scene and the podium of the descending cooling towers. Oh, I love it so much. I cooked so hard with this image. It's crazy. We decided to fully suit Matt up because he'd only been wearing half the chemical suit so far. This included inbuilt boots and some suspenders, which was really cool. This first shot is okay, establishing the setting. It's not bad, but it's not amazing. I decided to tell Matt to move around so I could get some motion in the images, and I think it resulted in a bit of a better frame. However, I do prefer this one where he's walking away from the camera instead of towards it because it just kind of adds a bit more dramatic effect. With 1 frame left in the camera, we settled on a full body shot but a bit more of a close-up one, and I think it's a really nice image. You've got a lot of nice leading dominant lines, a nice horizon, a bit of a soft focus, and the whole just general outfit. It looks beautiful captured on medium format film. With that roll finish, I had ran out of black and white film, which was a real big shame, as I wanted to do so much more cooking here. We decided to carry on exploring around the area, looking at where the old power station would have been, and these bodies of water that were left behind. Eventually we decided to call it quits and start heading home, leaving this amazing monument behind, hoping one day to return for more shenanigans and tomfoolery. Out of the 35 images I took, I'd say 90% are keepers and probably 10 are certified match-shoot bangers, which is an amazing hit rate for me. Normally I'm so critical of my own work and absolutely hate half the things I make. I fully intend to do some post-process destructive techniques on this film, probably in a month or 2 when I'm back at uni and I'm more into the swing of things. So if you do want to see that, definitely follow my Instagram in the link in the description below because I'll be posting on there loads. This video was incredibly fun to film and make, and I think the images are some of the best I've taken in so long. I really hope you guys have enjoyed the video and the style I kind of went down with making this video. If you did, leave a like, maybe subscribe. The support means a lot and it tells me what you guys like. Thank you for watching as always, and Matt out.
You've delivered urgent document.